I'll be honest, this was meant to be out yesterday, but although after it was meant to be out, it's like half an hour, it was meant to be out half an hour ago, but it is what it is. I've had a bit of a thingy day, but hey. I'm gonna get this sorted out now. Welcome to music reviews and shit, where I review music and stuff. So yeah, let's start off with the stuff I missed, which I've decided to listen to. Starting off with Geese with 3D Country, and there isn't much particularly country here really at all, but that is almost to its benefit because the genre isn't very good anymore. Songs such as the opener 2122, which might be the album opener of the year, are just insane and weird post-punk cut, and yeah, fire. This album is one of those that has some really high highs, such as Tomorrow's Crusade. That song's insane, genuinely. But that aside, it's not particularly jaw-dropping. It's just really well done indie cuts that are really fun to listen to. The vocalist has an interesting style that reminds me a lot of Sage when he's on crack, if you know what I mean. As in the guy from System of a Down. But what I will say, though, is that there are slight duds. Aside from the ending of Cowboy Nudes, that song just doesn't really resonate. And was a bit of a slog. But overall, the album's wacky, fun, and really entertaining, and is also great musically and has some high highs. 8.1 out of 10, it's one I recommend to anyone. Next up, we've got Dave and Central C with Split Decision, which is quite bizarre in my eyes because Dave is being fucking carried. He'd be lifted like a fucking dumbbell. Hee. Wonder if Sniper Wolf's ever gonna steal that. If you're watching this, Sniper Wolf, I don't really care. Steal it, it's funny. Well, it's not funny, that's why I should steal it. Anyway, on Trojan Horse, as for in this Dave EP, Dave was awful and his punchlines just didn't land at all. But Central C and the beat was fire, so that saved the song. Sprinter is the very huge hit of the album. It was number one for like 10 weeks. And you can see why, because it's a banger. And a really good song. If it counts as UK drill, it's probably one of the best songs in this field of all time. Our 25th birthday again shows Central C and the beat be amazing, and Dave just not be up to those heights, although he was solid. And UK rap is unfunny, bland, and awful. One of the worst songs this year, and it tanks the EP after that 3-song run. To absolute fuck. Overall, though, it's a nice, fun little EP, beat-wise and Central C-wise, but Dave just did not reach those heights. 6.7 out of 10. And then, of course, you've got Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun with The Brave, the second one, which has everyone's favourite lyrics, welcome to America where everything is made in China, but girls can have a penis and boys can have vaginas. Also, it's okay to be racist if it's aimed at black or Caucasian, that's what the bar was, roughly. And LGBTQ turned into WTF. Also, if you black, you lose, might as well go get that noose. And about 5 lines later, he's like, this is what the news wanted to believe in. No, it's not. But yeah, Tom MacDonald does what he always does and pisses off the left by speaking facts. His transphobia is kind of the new immigration for conservatives. Sort of like the new hot topic. Yeah. People are killing themselves. Amongst this, when it isn't offensive, it's corny. The beats are often annoying and as grating as Tom's screens and vocals. The features also deserve a special shout out for sucking. Mad Child was unlistenable. Project Pat clearly did the feature for the bad because what the fuck was that? And Social Repos was... yeah. You'll probably have to watch my album reaction because I can't really put how bad they were and how bad he was into words. Panic at the Disco, but more unlistenable, which at this point is a genuine achievement. Nova Rockefeller was pretty bad too. The voice was corny as. And yeah, Dax was really corny and had one of the worst written verses on the whole album. Black and White, which is one of the worst written songs I've ever heard just in general. Anyone else that I didn't mention weren't even worth a mention for anything at all. They just existed, I guess. But yeah, overall, the album has no redeeming qualities and is pathetic performance-wise. Offensive lyrically in a lot of ways, in using multiple definitions of the word offensive, intentionally as well, to the actual offensiveness, and is a really cringe attempt of pissing the world off. But, you know, what more do you expect from these guys? 0.2 out of 10. But, yeah. Following on, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and 14 albums that I listened to last week. Starting off with who is at the bottom, it's Walker Hayes with New Money, which to be honest, would have been good with the Ghostwriter. The instrumentals were fine, and there were some solid ones. And hey, the one in 9 was the only thing I could praise about the song, like at all. Everything else was that bad. Even if, like in general, the instrumentals did rely on being a bit tacky, it was still kind of fun. There is the small matter of like the lyricism in general, but I just want to focus on "Good with Me," which is insanely corny and just awful. The tackiness in like the instrumental doesn't work like it did anywhere else, and the lyricism was awful. But yeah, basically, to summarise, the instrumentals would have been fun enough if everything else wasn't bringing it down to fuck, and this album is only getting as high of a rating, and this is a low one, because Stretson kind of slaps, and it's only 8 songs long. There are enough horrible songs to keep it away from being one of the worst albums this year, but that doesn't make it any good. 2 out of 10. Yeah. Next up, we've got Tyga and YG with Hate Me When You Leave the Club, the playlist, which seemed to come out of nowhere, and to be honest, wherever it was, should have stayed. The album tried to be fun and dumb, and was that, to the detriment of the actual music, unfortunately. The beats, while on songs such as Big One, Hard, were inconsistent, and my god was the one that kept me lit awful. The rapping was just okay on that song, the lyricism was horrendous, that song sucked. Party Time and that astrology section thing was so hard to listen to, man. It takes mental strength to get through it at times without questioning your own and their sanity. Man, the beat's just corny. I don't know why, it just annoys me, but yeah. But, hey. But yeah, I think I also want to mention that Tyga lost his sanity months ago, like that with that Bopsko and Brazy song, so it's only YG's are really questioning. So, hey. The features all sucked. Lil Wayne was allergic to a good bar, apart from like the really good epic rhymes, which were kind of corny though. Busta Rhymes was laughably bad at times, and Blast was there, I guess. Didn't do too bad, but didn't stun, although he never really has ever, so yeah. This album was also at its best just passable and kind of boring. There weren't really any real highlights. It was just consistently like middle brow or just like solid. Platinum Side though, that one's a banger. One last thing, I know I criticised the whole repetitive lyricism subject on strip clubs, but hey, I forgot what the album was called, so like at least it's cohesive in that way, even if it is kind of still corny because they're in the 30s. But yeah, this album at times is laughably bad, but overall is kind of middle brow, but really doesn't have highlights, so that really brings the album down. Overall, at this point, I know I gave it like a light 4. I still think it is a light 4, 4.2 out of 10. Next up is Lil Wayne with The Fix Before the 6, which was pretty inconsistent. The beats were, the performance were, everything was. Songs such as Cat Food, even though the lyricism was really corny on that one, and To the Bank were fire and had great beats. And then there were songs such as Tuxedo, which were unbearable beat-wise. That one reminded people of Rebirth, and that alone makes it bad, even if the song isn't. One of them that is insanely inconsistent, this mixtape. Although, I do still have hope for the actual Carter 6, as these are throwaways, and there are still some decent cuts to be taken out of this. But if it's anything as inconsistent and unfocused, it will be a disappointment to most. I've never really been a big fan of Lil Wayne. He's mid to me, and his voice is really annoying. But yeah. This album is a complete mess and a complete slop. So yeah, we are fucked if there isn't an improvement in focus. But yeah, overall, messy, annoying, sometimes hilariously bad, but it has its moments and isn't the worst thing I've ever heard. Still pretty bad. 4.3 out of 10. Next up is May Muller with Sorry I'm Late. This album, it wasn't horrendous most of the time. There were songs such as like Bitch with a Broken Heart and Nervous in a Good Way, which were almost as bad as the song titles, but man, it just felt sort of devoid of anything new, anything really creative, particularly, or like highlights, really. It's just middle brow throughout. This album does nothing new in the fairly stacked scene of UK pop, so I don't know how May lasts much longer before going into someone we used to know from Eurovision, as everyone from Eurovision in our country has sort of become that. Even Sam Ryder, in a way, has. I haven't heard his name in months, and like everyone loved him for like a year. It's also just kind of boring, this album, and just exists. I can't remember what Tatiana sounds like, apart from that it was unoriginal and a slog. However, there were some decent enough cuts. Something Real had a cool instrumental, and Close Up, written by a woman, was kind of a banger. But yeah, overall, this album just exists. It's not really that interesting, and there's no reason to listen apart from that she was in Eurovision. But overall, I it was not the best. 4.3 out of 10. As a person, though, I still fucking love her. Next up is Oliver Tree with Alone in the Crowd. I will semi-defend Cowboy Tears. It was actually kind of fun in a way. This, though, while probably better, doesn't have the fun element of previous work, nor does it have actual quality to be able to combat the lack of it for the most part. Usually, it's just bland and boring pop that every so often has trap elements in it. Songs such as Essence and Star weren't particularly interesting, and while not bad, didn't have any elements that I'd really return to, and that's the case for most of the album. Apart from that Star was kind of cute. Rapping wise, because it was there, weren't the worst thing I've ever heard. It was corny, but it's Oliver Tree. What do you expect? Ugly Side is not gonna slap because he rapped on the thing. His style was energetic and the beat was too campy and fun. My main gripe though is that it's a bore. Nothing really sticks out as a highlight apart from say the surprisingly fire Essence and one or two others that I haven't mentioned, but nothing aside from bonus track Miss You, which hopefully I shouldn't have to go to detail on. It was stolen about to begin with, and one of the worst songs ever created. But yeah, the song that aside, there weren't really any lowlights as well. Just middle brow, and overall mid album, 5.2 out of 10. Following on from that, we've got Ricky Montgomery with Rick. I came in oblivious to whether it was going to be good or not, and it was a bit of a mixed bag. The vocals were good throughout, and the lyricism was fine for a teen indie pop album. Sure, songs such as Don't Say That and Sometimes I Need to Be Alone were beautiful and had some really nice choruses, especially in the former, but there are a lot of boring ballads in there, such as In Your Pocket. There was also some more indie rock type of stuff, but that was also inconsistent. There were some decent tracks, but none stuck like Type A did. But sadly, that one stuck for the wrong reasons. I also have gripes with the fact there were 3 minutes and 40 minutes, with 3 interludes and 40 minutes, which is too many, especially when the first two suck. But yeah, overall, it was pretty good, and I do see where he can grow artistically and actually become half decent in his sort of return to music, 6.1 out of 10. He has potential. Next up is Georgia Smith with Falling or Flying, and this one just won't stick in the memory at all. Yes, it's good when it's on, and yes, songs such as Backwards were sort of gorgeous, but songs seem to just come and go without anything sticking at all, really. There's nothing that really compels me when it's on. It's just background music. It's good background music, but it's still background music. Amongst this, George's vocal style isn't something that I'm a big fan of, and on songs such as Little Things, they're just straight up annoying. There are also songs that are completely empty and show that the production doesn't always work that was used on this album here. Makes Sense for that reason was quite the slog. Overall, this is a good album, but there's nothing that sticks with me, apart from a few gorgeous moments. Not even songs, just moments. It's nice when it's on them. 6.6 out of 10. Moving on to Wilco with Cousin. I know I'm flying through this, but I kind of want to go to bed. It's like 9:45, so yeah. Very few albums rival this one this year when it's at its best. There's absolutely an argument to be made for Infinite Surprise to be one of the best album openers all year because it is incredible. I know I've said that twice this episode, shut up. There are also some other highlights such as A Bowl and a Pudding and Cousin that I wanted to give credit to as they were amazing in the way they progressed and in the way that they performed it. Unfortunately though, this album does have its fair share of flaws. For a start, it's pretty basic instrumentally and has some songs that are sort of whatever, and also some vocal performances really went up to scratch, like at all. On Soldier Child, which already wasn't the best, they were borderline unlistenable and was so annoying as the album was on a roll at that point. Overall though, it is a great album this. The instrumentals and production are usually fire, the vocals until they start sucking are decent, and overall this was an enjoyable listen. 7.3 out of 10. Moving on to Animal Collective with Isn't It Now, which had some amazing songs such as the beautiful 22-minute epic Defeat and Magicians from Baltimore, the latter being incredible. However, that aside, the album was still like fire, but nowhere near as good. They were just basic bangers that were still good. Hey, Stride Right does slap, but they were basic, and sadly, there were some duds. Closer King's Walk was dumb as an inclusion and tried to be triumphant, but was really just not very good. All the Clubs Are Broken, for example, was a bit of a bore, even if there were good elements about it, if you wanted another example. Overall, the album had its moments and mostly slapped, but a lot of it was basic and uninteresting, and there were duds, which you kind of don't want in a 9-track album. But the album did slap, so hey, overall. 7.4 out of 10. It's fire. Next up, it's Autumn Variations. I wrote a lot for this one, Jesus Christ. Ed Sheeran has made his own label, and now we might actually see some more authentic music from him again, as this had little rollout or promotion, and it kind of felt genuine when it was on. He never would have made England a few years back. There was never a chance of that coming out, but hey, he is now, so I'll take it. Amongst this, songs such as the opener Magical, Plastic Bag, and what was the other one? Sorry. I wanted to mention Autumn Variations. Punchline. Punchline was beautiful as well. They were genuinely gorgeous, the songs I just mentioned. On a more general scale, the production was subdued and really nice. The lyricism, whilst corny at times, felt genuine and connected to him personally in a way that Subtract didn't always feel. Usually it did, but there was still a bit of commercialness about it that was really in your face. And I do really like the quietness of the instrumentals. It did really fit the vibe of Autumn. This insect went fuck off. Some think it boring. Some think it's boring, but I don't at all. I found it really refreshing and enjoyable. Wasn't trying to make a big statement, and it was good and not doing so. There also really aren't many duds. Amazing was boring and Spring was corny. But that aside, it was great. But I do think it did sort of inadvertently make the big statement that I mentioned that I didn't make, because it's probably his best and shows that even after Multiply, his actual good album, he can make good music. Wouldn't be surprised if this was originally Subtract, but his label wanted hits, because there's no way you're going to release a deluxe to an album you aren't bothered about having hits with. There's just no way. Although I do think there is an expanded edition of this, actually, so never mind. They were made in the same sessions, and while you could argue these are just B-sides, the B-sides are better by a lot, because instrumentally, production-wise, and usually lyrically, this album is beautiful and genuinely great. 7.8 out of 10. I doubt he'll ever top this. Next up, we've got Cemetery with King of the Graveyard. Never forget when I thought they said Horny Mound instead of Haunted Mound. Honestly, I know it's not getting a very positive reception, but I think it's one of Cemetery's best pop projects, to be honest, and better than Butcher House. It's fun, the production and the beats are amazing, and Cemetery mostly does his thing. It's also really cohesive and feels like a full experience despite it being an EP. Gotta be authentic, if with my opinions. King of the Graveyard has a great beat and is produced really well, and is overall a fucking banger. 3am gang with turnabout slap from front to back, and was really fun despite it having a corny hook. And yeah, great song. House of the Dead has an amazing beat and might be the best song. The EP, however, does fall after that strong half. Cutter in the Club was forgettable, and Cemetery seemed to sacrifice a actually good performance by going insane. Did the same thing on I Don't Care About Sleep Anymore, but at least the beat was fire there. Overall, the beat and production, both amazing from start to finish, apart from Cutter in the Club. That song really was that mid. But Cemetery, sadly, was pretty hit or miss. However, it was never awful, and this was a genuinely great EP that I had fun listening to. On reflection, probably should have put this below Ed Sheeran. It's probably like a 7.6 out of 10 for me now, but hey. Let's just move on to Rome Street with Noise Candy 5. Honestly, I was debating skipping this one, but I'm glad I didn't, because this man, he don't miss. He don't miss. On a general scale, I just want to say that this was produced absolutely incredibly from front to back. For the normal beats you'd expect from any Griselda album to the trap beats, there was not a single bad beat or one poorly mixed in. Griselda mixing has never sounded bad, but there were some basic ones. On songs such as Stunner, as great as the beats were, they were a tad basic, and I had heard them before. But hey, an album doesn't have to be groundbreaking to be great. If you do the basics to perfection, you do the basics to perfection, innit? Among this, there is the odd Mistown flow, especially on Pocket Full of Beans. But hey, that song still does go fucking hard. However, when this album is amazing, it's amazing. Faraday Around the Mound has an incredible beat, and Rome and Joey Badass absolutely slid. What a song. Procol was incredible too. What a beat. Overall, this album is consistently great, even when it is basic, and fantastic just about enough times for it to be overall a brilliant album. Fantastic. Don't skip this one, because it's not like a huge release and just like a fifth one in a long series. 8.4 out of 10. Moving on to Cleo Sol's Gold. Apparently she dropped 2 weeks ago, and I just completely ignored it. We'll definitely have to listen to some point, because this album was such a great listen. It's empowering lyrically, telling us listeners not to give up and to trust in God, and actually not being preachy and annoying about it. It's just one that motivates and is plain beautiful. Simple as. Vocally, it's amazing. Don't need to say anymore, it just is. Musically, the soulful backing vocals and the sonically interesting and amazing actual instrumentals were phenomenal. I'd created some absolute gems such as Lost Angel and There Will Be No Crying. But there were some slight dull instrumentals. They were still great, just not on the level of others. And songs such as Gold did feel a little empty. And there were a few too many instances for this album to be like really high on a year-end list. But in its field, it's probably one of the best all year, and it is a beautiful album. I'm not insulted or anything. 8.5 out of 10. And at the top, we have Armand Hammer with We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. I will have to re-listen because I'm not 100% sure on this rating. I think this is the rating I'm going to have to put on it for now, but it could be a fair bit higher. Rap album of the year, though. Billy Woods dropped Maps earlier in the year, and it didn't stick with me in spite of how acclaimed he is, and how acclaimed that album kind of was. But this, though, with his pal Lucid, was a different story. This album was outstanding atmospherically, beat-wise, production-wise, the whole thing. The gritty, dark atmosphere of this album was unbelievable, and it sounded incredible, especially with Billy Woods doing his thing over it, and it sounded as good as ever. It wasn't just good because it was experimental, it was genuinely well done. Songs such as Trauma Mike are fire, and the best song, an absolute masterpiece, Empire Boulevard, had ridiculous beats and were just amazing. Rapping-wise, has a ridiculous beat. Oh no, that's never mind. Rapping-wise, there were some corny moments, and there were flows that weren't entirely for me, but it was mostly inoffensive, and there were some really good bars and performances. The only real issue is that there seemed to be one or two of these moments in most songs. There was always like a slight flaw, and it stopped it being from maybe like the best album of the year, and it's a borderline 10 that I originally gave it to. So yeah. Although I say that, the Mitski album's gone down to like a 9.8, so I think Foo Fighters is still just about holding strong. This did have some songs that I didn't feel were quite on par with the others, such as The Keys Under the Mat. They seem like duds, but they just weren't. They were still fire songs, they just weren't on the level of the rest of the album. It's that good of an experience. Finding many flaws in this album is a struggle, genuinely, as this album has such a good atmosphere, and it's so amazing production-wise and usually rapping-wise. Those of them are solid enough too, usually. It has things that tweak, absolutely, but it's one of the best albums all year. I'm not even sure this is them at their best, and this is already phenomenal, so I feel that they could have like a genre-defining masterpiece in experimental and abstract hip-hop. 8.9 out of 10. Billy Woods already has a few of them, don't he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think I'm missing a couple, but I'm not bothered enough to find them. So, yeah. So it's 12 albums this week, which is already a lot. So never mind like the ones I said that I didn't really notice. Because, like, okay, whatever. I can live. Starting off with, of course, the big one, which I literally just listened to just then, For All the Dogs. Sorry about that. As I was saying, I think I predicted For All the Dogs to probably be around the 6 range when it came out. It features Tito Touchdown, 21 Savage, J. Cole, SZA, Party Next Door. Technically features Chief Keef, Bad Bunny, Sexy Red, SZA again, and Lil Bo. 23 songs, 1 hour, 24 minutes. I predicted a 6, and you will find out if it is a 6 or lower next week. People love the new Sufjan Stevens album, Javelin. Obviously, on a different note, wishing him the absolute best for the sort of immuno-whatever condition. I've got an issue with his back or something. So yeah, 10 songs, 42 minutes long. Really looking forward to this one, because people love it. I'm going to predict a 9. Fuck it. Why not? Wiz Khalifa with Kali Sober, which I don't think has any features. 12 songs, 40 minutes long. I'm going to say 5. Omar Apollo with his new EP, Live For Me. 4 songs, 50 minutes long. This could either be an 8 or a 3. So I'm just going to go around the middle and say 6. Of Mice and Men with Tether. 10 songs, 37 minutes long. Are these like... liked or not. I don't know. I'm just going to predict a 5 to be safe with it around the middle. Everyone's favourite white rapper, you know, the one that's actually good, Pitbull with Trackhouse, which features T-Pain, because of course it does, El Mika, Lil Jon, Elvis Crespo, Vikina, Omar Courtz, now Rogers, Vikinya, Gypsy Kings, and Zach Brown. 14 songs, 38 minutes long. I'm going to predict like a 3, but it'll definitely be entertaining. I've also already listened to Boy With Uke with Lucid Dreams. I'm predicting this album to be like a 4. 14 songs, 39 minutes long. Will it exceed has it exceeded my expectations? You'll find out next week. El Camino with A Spit on Jesus. It's a collab album with the Black Soprano family, who did a collab album with the year before You Go Bass, who's featured on the first song. Smooth transition. Benny the Butcher, Inspector Deck, Armani Caesar, Zeon the Lion, Love Boat, Lucia... No. Yeah. Benny the Butcher, King Ralph, and Havoc are also featured. Well, Benny the Butcher twice, but whatever. 13 songs, 36 minutes long. This could easily be like a 4 or an 8. So I'm going to go around the middle and say 6. Pow Fu. Why did I say it like that? With Gathered by the Lantern, which features Skinny Atlas, Cody Lawless, and Milkshakes in the Valley, as well as Haylog, Boy Filthy, Ouse, Snow, and Hayley Fallon. 9 songs, 27 minutes long, 3. Colby Kayat with Along This Way, which features Sheryl Crow. 13 songs, 46 minutes long. It's probably going to be like a 5 or a 4. I'll say 4. Illsea with From the Valley, which features Bon Iver twice. 10 songs, 30 minutes long, 8. This is going to be a gem. And finally, 1017 Alex 9 SM with Compilation Volume 1, which features Lil Yachty, Hard Rock, Kid Cudi, Ethel Cain, Montel Fish, Jam City, Aiden, BK the Ruler, Filthy, Lancey Foo. A song called Scare in the Hose, which has Fouché and Filthy production. NGYL, Hard Rock Again, Assad, Cheb Rabbi, YSI, or KSI, Crow and Rabbit. That one with Crow and Rabbit is a demo. 16 songs, 47 minutes long. This could be really good or really not good. So I'm going to say 5. So yeah, there you are. Kind of had to rush through that because it's nearly 10 o'clock and I want to go to bed. Shit. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I know it's probably like Saturday, you already know half these drops, but it is what it is. See you next week. Okay, so this is the bit where I do the best and worst of September. I got the best second pretty much completely wrong. So I'm just going to do it here. And number 3 is Loewe with Bewitched. It's an 8.6 out of 10. And number 2 is Armand Hammer with We Buy Diabetic Test Strips, which has an 8.9 out of 10 rating to his name. But at number 1, I kind of already spoiled it. It's Mitski with The Land is Inhospitable, and So Are We, which has a 9.8 out of 10 rating, which I kind of spoiled earlier in the episode. Ignore the voice. It's 1 in the morning. Yeah. As for the bottom 3, I don't know how this is only 3rd, but 30 Seconds to Mars with This The End of the World, But a Beautiful Day is a 0.5. I know they just get into the bottom 3. There's also Nelly, which was a 0.8. Mad. Number 2 is Problematique by Kim Petras with a 0.2. But the worst is Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun with The Brave 2. Of course it is. And it's ironically a 0.2. 1 for each of the Braves. Of the 0. It's alright, bye.